Okay, so now we are going to set linen on a king's table. So our king's tables can be really any length. It's just basically a long, wide rectangular table. We generally use our schoolies, 36 inches wide. They can be two schoolies long or 12 feet long. They can be 18 feet long. We can do 8-foot schoolies and make them 16, whatever. As far as the linen goes, we're going to start by putting a bottom cloth. We want a bottom cloth on these linens because these tables are not always the best. It can be a little rough, splinters, things like that. So this gives a little extra padding for our guest. And it also helps hide the tables and cover it because now you can kind of see through this, but if you have a second linen on top, you don't see through it. And again, it makes it a lot more comfortable for the guest. So we're going to start with our bottom linens. When we do a king's table, we use a smaller linen for the bottom. I don't want this to go to the floor because the top linen will go to the floor, and we don't want two linens visible at the bottom of the floor for guests to see the bottom and the top linen. So we use 60s on this. These are 3 60 by 60s. But you can use 70s, it's okay, but we had 60s as long as they go over the edge. The key to the bottom linens is you want them to be as symmetrical around as possible, because sometimes you will see light coming through and you can see the undercloth occasionally, and if it is there, if guests do get a glimpse of it, we still want it to be nice and straight and even all the way around the table. So it is important to make sure it's even, also on the ends as well. So it drapes down around about the same amount all the way around. So we have our bottom linens down, so now we're going to do the top linens. So I already have some linens over here, somewhat unfolded. So I'm going to start here on one end. This is a 90 by 90. And again, we have a center fold, so I'm going to put that roughly in the center of the table and see where that drapes down. There we are. Okay, so, like we did before, if you watched the other video, it's about 3 inches off the ground, which is normal for a 36-inch wide table. Now, the end here isn't quite down far enough. So, I want to pull this. However, you have the bottom linen, so you don't want to pull the bottom linen. So the best way is to just give it a little bit of a fluff, get some air underneath it, and then you can kind of slowly work its way down. And there we're about right as far as the drape on the table. So the other thing is on the bottom linens, you got to make sure that they're nice and straight. You don't want wrinkles or the seams folded up or anything underneath. All right, so we have one end done. I'm going to grab our second end. And again, try and find the middle roughly. It's about right there. It's about the same on this side. Let's take a quick look over here. That's pretty close. So now I got to bring it way down, and I find it easier to put the linen farther up the table that way, because it's easier for me to pull it this way than it is to pull it that way. So I'm going to give it a little flap, kind of pull it down a little bit more, and then we got about 3 inches up. So we're looking good all the way around so far. So we have the two ends, now we're going to do the middle one. Again, this is a 12-foot table, so I need 3 90s for it. I'll work this middle section. All right, so I'm going to find that middle seam right here. Try and get about the middle of the table. And then again, that middle fold on this side and on the center there. All right. So this side is hanging way low, and that side is right on. So like before, if you saw the other video, this linen is not square, so it's a little more rectangular. So I'm going to turn it 90 degrees to to see if I get a little bit better fit and make it even on the tables. Definitely a little bit better on this side. Let me see how it goes. So it's still a little long in the middle. We're going to just kind of even that out a little bit. And again, I mentioned these are never perfectly square, so there could always be a little bit of variance in it. We just want to make it as nice as possible. So there we have the center linen. We're still not done. As we do with buffets, we're going to tie these ends so they don't drag. These two corners, we just tie in a small knot. Doesn't have to be too big, too far down. Pull this middle part out from underneath it, and it squares up the end nice and straight so you don't have the corners dragging on the ground. We do the same thing for this end over here. Get a nice square end to the table there. It's also nice when, especially if you have chairs pushed up, the ends aren't dragging, you don't get the chair legs on the linen, or guests putting their feet on it and kicking it or anything like that. So now what we're going to do is finish up the top of the table. You have these seams here, and it's just a little nicer if we do what we call a French fold and hide that seam a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and bend it back. I usually go about 6 inches or so. Do a nice fold. We're not going to crease this part because that's going to fold back over. What we're going to do is then, after we fold it this way, we're going to go back about 3 inches. Right there. Now what we're going to do is crease this part here. Usually go down. This is where it's nice to have somebody to help you because there's 2 people that can do it. So we kind of crease this. All right, so we have that crease. Now we're going to fold it back over like this. Again, make sure that underneath it's not wrinkled. Yep. Now you have a little bit nicer crease on the top of the table. That's what we call a French fold. Now we're going to do it on this end. Same thing, about 6 inches or so back, 5-6 inches, come back. And it really does help if you get that nice crease in it, so that when it's draping on this side, it will also drape on the side. There we go. So now we have that center, we have 2 French folds. They're about equidistant from the end, so it's nice and uniform and consistent across the table. We have bottom linens down, a little more comfortable, I guess, to put your elbows on or arms on the table. After this, we would put chairs and set the table. So this is how we do linen on a king's table. All right, thank you very much.